Hello everyone, welcome to Park Plus your car app. It's a lovely morning today and I'm in Pune, but not to get behind the wheel of a new car, but I will be astride on this very motorcycle, the Husqvarna Svartpilen 401. This is what we are going to ride today, and I'm sure this is quite a versatile motorcycle. That's what Husqvarna is aiming at. But अगर मैं ऑलरेडी एक कार ओन करता हूँ एंड आई वॉन्ट अ मोटरसाइकिल फॉर मी जस्ट टू गो अराउंड इट ड्यूरिंग वीकेंड और जस्ट टू हैव फन व्हेनेवर आई वांट टू, is this something that I will be picking? So exactly that's what I am talking about in this very review, and obviously I am going to take you through all the details of this motorcycle and how good of a versatile and a daily user this motorcycle is. We are going to talk about that in length in this review, so stay tuned till the end. I am Shubham Parasha. You're watching Park Plus your car app. Do subscribe to the channel, do hit the bell icon to stay notified, and do head to the app for all the updates in the Indian car bazaar. चलिए शुरुआत करते हैं.
And yes, before we proceed any further, मैं आपको बता दूँ that you can buy Husqvarnas in KTM showrooms itself. Yes, it is being sold alongside the KTM Duke and KTM RC.
तो चलिए शुरुआत करते हैं और आपको एक बैकग्राउंड देते हैं इस मोटरसाइकिल के बारे में. Now the Husqvarna Svartpilen 401 is actually a cousin to the KTM Duke 390. इसकी इंजन, इसकी चैसी, अंडरपिनिंग्स, TFT स्क्रीन स्विच गियर्स, ये सारे KTM 390 से बोरो किए गए हुए हैं. बट व्हाट आई एब्सोल्युटली लव हियर are the fairings, because ये completely नया design है, gives a very good stance to the motorcycle, and this is nothing like what we have seen on the road before. So yes, in terms of design it's a very fresh look, and that is something that I absolutely love about the motorcycle. But पुराने Svartpilen से भी ये काफ़ी अलग है. Like in terms of overall dimensions, 33% ये ज़्यादा grown है, and what also I like that the engine 399cc engine is completely new. पहले आपको 250cc की engine मिलती थी. So yes, it is a bigger bike now, and with that let's take a look at all the specifications. Now let's take a look at the key dimensions which have changed. So सबसे पहले saddle height, ये 22 mm कम है. So now you get a saddle height of 820 mm. पहले आपको 842 mm की मिलती थी on the Svartpilen, and the ground clearance is slightly increased at 177 mm. But wheelbase जो है वो थोड़ी सी shrink हुई है. So 3 mm shrink हुई है. Now 1354 mm is the wheelbase, and this is how I look on the bike. In terms of riding position, I think काफ़ी balanced है, not too committed or not too relaxed. I think a very good riding position I get here. So you know, city commutes के लिए मेरे लिए ये काफ़ी सही होने वाली है, and even for small distance highway commute, normal cruising, a very relaxed riding position I have here. But what I like even more is कि जो feel आपको मिलती है when you brush your hand against the body, or even the feedback that you get from the switches here, you know, very tactile feedback. And overall in terms of quality, again I think this is very much satisfactory. Now when you take a look at the motorcycle from front, the design actually looks quite appealing, and you love the circular treatment of the headlight right here. You have a DRL ring as well, और ये LED headlamps यहाँ पर मिलते हैं. So सामने से you know, it has that heavy stance going which you like in a bike, and I quite like the embedding of the 401 badge here on the tank as well, and a nice neon detailing. The tank itself has grown in size. पहले आपको 9.5 liters की tank मिलती थी, अब that is 13.5 liters. So again, slightly bigger, slightly chunkier, and gives it a very good stance. Also will give you more mileage. So full tank में आप ज़्यादा दूर जा सकते हैं आप. And the mudguard itself quite chunky, you know, quite sizable, and feels solid at the same time. You get a Husqvarna logo right here on the mudguard, and the off-road tires here. So these are Pirelli Scorpion off-road tires. 17 inch के टायर्स आपको आगे और पीछे दोनों मिलते हैं, and this is 110 sections पीछे. Those are wider tires, those are 150 section tires. And again, performance की बात तो बाद में करेंगे इनकी, but I think gives a good stance to the motorcycle as well. Now suspension, आपको यहाँ पर USD forks मिलते हैं, and you have rev and compression adjustment for the forks right here, for both the forks, and quite chunky bars. यहाँ भी ये आपको in terms of stance काफ़ी अच्छा लगता है, and you have a slightly offset monoshock suspension right here at the rear. Now overall काफ़ी tight integration है इसकी, that is what I like, because again has that fast look, that fast appeal to the overall bike. लेकिन जो चीज़ मुझे थोड़ी पसंद यहाँ पर नहीं आती है वो है इसकी rear look. एक काफ़ी ज़्यादा ही कम्यूटर सॉर्ट ऑफ लुक आपको यहाँ पर देखने के लिए मिलती है. एंड इवन द ग्रैब हैंडल राइट हियर इट डज द जॉब, बट दिखने में उतनी ज़्यादा अपीलिंग नहीं है. इवन द LED टेल लाइट्स, द क्लस्टर इज़ नाइस, बट अगेन ओवरऑल ये जो स्टैंड है आई थिंक Husqvarna needs to rework on this, because सामने से जितनी अच्छी लगती है पीछे से इसके डिज़ाइन जो है वो उतनी अपीलिंग अभी भी नहीं लगती. So this was an overview on the overall looks and dimensions of the motorcycle. और एक बात है, सामने से लेके यहाँ तक Husqvarna designers, they have put in quite a lot of effort, but I think पीछे के section में they just ran out of interest. Now let's have a look at all the specifications. सस्पेंशन से स्टार्ट करते हैं. सामने के सस्पेंशन में आपको 151 मिलीमीटर का ट्रैवल मिलता है, विच इज़ 9 मिलीमीटर मोर देन द प्रीवियस वर्जन जो 142 मिलीमीटर की ट्रैवल ऑफर करती थी. एंड हियर इन द मोनोशॉक यू हैव अ ट्रैवल ऑफ 161 मिलीमीटर, जो पहले से 5 मिलीमीटर ज़्यादा है, लगभग 4 से 5 मिलीमीटर. पहले 147 मिलीमीटर के अराउंड का आपको ट्रैवल यहाँ पर मिलता था. एंड डिस्क ब्रेक्स सामने वाले बिल्कुल सेम है. दीज आर 320 मिलीमीटर्स रोटेटर डिस्क ब्रेक्स. एंड पीछे में आपको मिलते हैं 240 मिलीमीटर्स के, जो 10 मिलीमीटर ज़्यादा बड़े हैं पहले से. ना उसके बाद अगर हम इंजन की बात करें, सेम इंजन दैट वी सॉ ऑन द KTM Duke 390, so 399cc engine, belts out 45.3 brake horsepower at 8500 RPM and 39 Newton meters of peak torque at 6000 RPM. Comes with a 6-speed क्विक शिफ्टर गियरबॉक्स. एंड उसके बाद आपको बाकी सारी टेक्नोलॉजी लाइक राइड एंड वायर ये सब आपको यहाँ पर ऑब्वियसली मिलती है. यू हैव अ प्रॉपरली ऑयल कूल्ड इंजन हियर और TFT स्क्रीन, सेम यूनिट दैट वी हैव सीन on the KTM, but again the graphics are new and quite a lot of settings we have there. So let's go and check that out now. So this is a 5-inch TFT screen that you get on the Husqvarna Svartpilen 401 और graphics इसके काफ़ी अच्छे हैं. Font size is quite decent, so it's very easy to read on the go. और यहाँ पर 3 different background भी मिलते हैं. You have a full screen setup जहाँ पर you get all the information on the screen, full of information, odometer, battery voltage, speed, again distance to empty, RPM, and your information of your speed, gear, everything you have here. But you can also reduce some of that information and have a minimalist view as well. वो settings मिलती हैं and you have different and a host of settings as well. So मोटरसाइकिल के लिए आपको यहाँ पर राइड मोड की सेटिंग मिलती है, बट सरप्राइजिंगली राइड मोड में यू हैव जस्ट वन सिंगल मोड, स्ट्रीट, नो ट्रैक, नो रोड. तो इस सेटिंग का मतलब मुझे समझ में आता है नहीं, इट्स जस्ट अ गिमिक बिकॉज यू कैन नॉट चेंज एनीथिंग. बट ABS में आप जाके इसको ऑन ऑफ कर सकते हो, रोड के लिए सिलेक्ट कर सकते हो, और यू कैन सिलेक्ट द सुपर मोटो मोड एज वेल, जहाँ पर आप you can go just a bit aggressively, and you have motorcycle traction control as well जो ऑन ऑफ कर सकते हैं. एंड easy shift to select. इंटरफेस के लिए अगेन यहाँ से आप इसकी जो मिनिमलिस्ट सेटिंग है उसको एक्टिव कर सकते हैं, फेवरेट सेट कर सकते हैं. You have bike information where you have coolant temperature, fuel range, battery information, auto information, service and warnings. You have trip information for all the details. You have speed control, so if you're handing over your bike to the friend or to anyone else, you can again set and control the speed, a good feature to have. And you have a host of other information as well in the settings. So यहाँ से आप favorites, quick selector, shift light, ये सब clock and date time units, you can set everything. So yes, quite detailed and quite informative, and as I said, I quite like the graphics and it has a slight premium feel to it as well. And with all the specs and information covered, it's time for me to get a stride and get started with the ride. So let's get going. So finally, after spending some time with the Husqvarna Svartpilen 401 and riding it for a few kilometers, I have a proper first impression of the bike, and happy to report that it doesn't feel much different from the KTM Duke 390, which actually is a good thing because the engine, again, the performance is pleasing and very satisfying. अगर मैं आराम से cruise कर रहा हूँ at 3500 RPM, doing around 40-42 km/h, and I want to make a quick overtake, just ring the throttle and it goes. So you are easily to do around 6,000-7,000 RPM, and you have a good reserve of power at any rev band. So right from 2,000 RPM to up to 8,000 RPM, the reserve of power is ample, and the engine responds quick enough to your throttle responses. Now there are vibrations still, so handlebars पे आपको थोड़े vibrations feel होंगे. In fact, mid range में जब आप होंगे on pedals and all, brake पे आपको vibrations feel होंगे. But again, not a deal breaker. And at normal speeds, around 80 km per hour, 90 km per hour, they are contained. It's only when you go past that triple digit mark, those vibrations will tend to bother you a bit. Now what's also impressive that the quick shifter, quite smooth, quite easy to upshift and downshift. यहाँ पर आपको एक अच्छा feedback मिलता है, and you know it doesn't clicks very hardly, so that again is positive. And again, in terms of response, I think I am having quite a fun riding the Husqvarna. Also because the bike is respectively lighter, so it's easy for me to maneuver around in the city. I am at a very comfortable riding position because, as I said earlier, it's not too committed or not too upright. It is just a proper position to give me a proper and a decent riding posture, at the same time keeping me comfortable on the longer commute. So let's say city commutes, if I'm doing around 40-50 kilometers in the city daily, I will be very comfortable and very easy to navigate this bike because it's still lighter and it has got the performance. And if I'm out on the highway, if I'm doing an intercity commute, let's say, I can ride it for at least 100-120 kilometers without a break. So now when it comes to handling, I think going around corners is fairly easy even on this motorcycle because it's not very heavy. The lighter weight really helps there. So let's say when I'm taking a bend like this, again it's very easy for me to just lean and throw it around bends and corners. And when you approach a steep corner like this one, again, whether you are going with the counterweight approach or whether you are leaning with the motorcycle, I think it will complement your driving or your riding behavior. But the only issue I find here that when I try to lean excessively and I want to carry a bit more speed, the front section feels slightly, just a wee bit heavier there, and that restricts me a bit and I need to drop down speed at that point. But again, that's me being a bit ambitious. As far as you are doing normal speed, so let's say if you are going at around decent 60-65 kilometers per hour, even around a sharp bend, I think you will manage pretty easily. Having said that, Husqvarna Svartpilen 401 is actually being marketed as a scrambler. Exactly why you have off-road tires. So on the road, you get good grip from these tires as well, but again, not as good as you expect from a proper road going tire. So that could be one of the restrictions, when you're going around corners, and these are quite chunky tires, a bit heavy as well. So again, adds to the weight. But they come to their own when you go on a gravel patch or when you take it slightly off-road. So let's go and check that out now.
We also got a chance to take the motorcycle on a dirt track, and honestly it performed decently on gravel and on slightly rough surfaces. Gravel पे traction अच्छा मिल रहा था, and on rough terrains it had enough suspension travel and ground clearance, so I was barely worried about scraping its belly. और अगर गाड़ी नीचे भिड़ती भी, then there was bash plate to protect the engine. But आगे चल के हमें problem हुई when we tried standing and riding the motorcycle because handlebars were set a bit too low and foot pegs were really tiny and there was no proper grip or teeth in the foot pegs as well. So उसके कारण आपको problem होती है. But as far as you are doing minor off-road, it has got all the mechanicals and the tires to support that. That said, apart from tiny footpegs and lower handlebar, my only issue with the rear ABS, which used to intervene a bit too much with the braking and was just not allowing me to slide and have fun with the motorcycle on the dirt track.
So finally, what's the Parkless verdict? See, the Svartpilen is priced at 2,92,000 rupees and fares against the KTM 390 Duke itself. In fact, price काफी close है. So गाड़ी भी almost underpinnings engine in मामले में same है. So the question I was thinking is that why would you buy this over the KTM 390 Duke? And I think two reasons जो मुझे अभी तक समझ में आ रहे हैं इसे खरीदने के लिए. First, the KTM Duke 390 is quite popular and you see that on road everywhere. So उस केस में आपके पास यहाँ पर एक अलग मोटरसाइकिल है जो एक नया स्टाइल स्टेटमेंट देती है. And obviously when you will be taking it out on the road, people will be looking back at you, it will be grabbing you eyeballs, and yes, आपसे वो curiously पूछेंगे कि यार बाइक है कौन सी. It is a new brand, so that novelty factor is going to be there. And second, this thing actually is quite versatile as Husqvarna promises, because be it city commute or even out on the highway or when you face a rough section of road, the bike can tackle all of that quite easily and take that in its stride, because you have off-road tires, you have good ground clearance, you have a protection plate right there, the bash plate, and even the stance, the riding posture. It's comfortable and at the same time not too upright. It is committed to an extent as well. So yes, as my daily user, I think the Husqvarna Svartpilen 401 ticks all the right boxes even there, and at the same time the engine in terms of performance is quite fun. Handling भी इसकी काफ़ी अच्छी है. I think the KTM 390 Duke is slightly more aggressive there, but yes, for those who who want a balanced performance and not an outright crazy bike, I think this is quite a balanced proposition for them. And on that note, you're watching Parkless, your car app. Do subscribe to the channel, do hit the bell icon to stay notified, and do head to the app for all the updates in the Indian car bazaar and sometimes about these motorcycles as well. I'm Shubham Parashar and I'll see you in the next video.